Hi everyone, welcome to my tutorial on iRealPro. I will walk you through the most important features of this program, give you some tips and hints on how to use it, and I will also show you some maybe lesser known features of the program that pay off mightily for practicing. iRealPro is a program that can play chord changes that you can either download from the internet or create yourself in a variety of styles. iRealPro is available on the App Store of your Google Play or iTunes, wherever you get your apps. It's available for desktop, it's available for iPad and iPhone, smartphone, Google, whatever it is you're using. You can get it at your usual app outlet. Hopefully this tutorial will give you enough information to know whether it's worth it for you to get. And there are also some in-app purchases. They are, I will go into those in a little bit, but they might be very worth your money as well. Here's a disclaimer. iRealPro can turn into a little bit of a crutch if you use it wrong. The wrong way to use it would be to rely on it entirely for your rhythmic feel. So sometimes you can tell if people practice exclusively with iRealPro, especially if they practice jazz or swing tunes. The feel of the drums obviously is nowhere near as organic as a real drummer would make it swing. So the swing feel is just not as cool, and it starts sounding a little bit mechanical. So you can tell if people practice too much with iRealPro because they'll start sounding like this, kind of non-organic drum feel. So it's very important to keep working on feel, especially if you're a bass player. Keep working on feel. Ideally, supplement this practice with some Abersold backing tracks, or best of all, of course, play with your band, play with real people, real drummers. But as a tool, it's wonderful. It's also great for songwriting. You can sketch out certain things. You can definitely practice your soloing. It's wonderful for that. And then practice transposing, and it had some pretty nifty practice modes. So I'll go into all of that. So when you first open up the program, so you go to your App Store, you download the program, desktop, iPad, iPhone, wherever you choose, and then you download it, and then you open it up, and it's pretty empty. It has a few stock songs in there, but it's pretty empty. Like all these songs you see, those I have downloaded. So how do you download? You go here on this forum icon, and this is basically a regular discussion forum, which has places for regular discussion. And then here it has the songs that you can download. If you know a website like Guitar Pro or Tabs 411 or whatever these sites are called, where people just upload songs, you can search for different versions and then download your favorite ones. So this is kind of similar. People will create their own songs, will create their own versions of known songs and upload them, and then you can grab them. So you have all these different styles here where you can go digging and sort of looking what people are uploading, and there are some stickies that are wonderful. I highly recommend these things here. They're stickies. Oh, I don't have that one yet. I'm just going to download this. So you click on it, and to download it, you just go on this here. It's a little tricky to find. You just have to go into the first post. It's usually a sticky, and then you click on that, and then it says Open iRealPro app, and then you say yes. Your browser may or may not give you that question. It depends. And then boom, here are my songs. What I definitely recommend, especially if you're into jazz, is that you grab this. So I'm going to go to this one here, main playlists. Those are great. These are good resources. They continually update them. Some of the changes are sometimes a little off, but it's not too bad. And to my knowledge, they update them and edit them. So people go in there if there's something off and fix them. And so, because I just noticed it used to be 1,300 jazz standards and now it's 1,350. So they keep adding to them. And while they're not formally curated, to my knowledge, they are pretty good, definitely usable. So you have Jazz 1350, you have Brazilian, Latin. Download them, enjoy, but definitely get this one, Jazz 1350. Again, it asks me, do you want to? Are you sure? It's some sort of security setting in my browser, but it's safe to allow that. And boom, then it'll show up right here. So You have here, you have all your playlists, and now if I want all the songs, I can go here. You know, you can look at your last viewed, last imported, last edited. That's pretty self-explanatory. But here are the playlists, and let's say you have a song you don't know if it's in your iRealPro. You can just input this here, and you just put you just search for the song. So in order to demonstrate some features, I am going to search for a song. Let's say Take the A Train. So I just start typing the rhythm, and here it is. So, and it's going to go start right away if you double click it. But here's the song, and here are the chord changes. And you can see all the typical usual first, second ending, ABA, it's all there. Now you can tell iRealPro quite a few things down here, and this is pretty cool. You can tell it how many repeats. Now if I really want to practice, I'm going to set that to the maximum, which is 30. So it's going to play it until I just stop it, so you want to set that right off the get-go so you have it running. Tempo, that's self-explanatory. Then here you have your stop and your play. You can, however, also use just the space bar. That's a nice, easy, quick hit. Key, that's neat. You can select the key. It'll tell you the default, which is what the song typically is being played at, or is in most well-known real books, but you can change the key, and boom, here it is in a different key. So many of us who play with singers a lot used to be really good at transposing. And ever since iRealPro hit the scene, it's easy to get lazy and just hit the transpose button here. But transposing is a great skill, and I'm actually going to show you in a minute how you can use transcribe to help you transpose, practice transposing. So it's a great tool for that as well. I have here a style selection, and this is where the inner app purchase happens. So I have purchased all the inner app options. So I have all sorts of grooves here. If you don't have these, you just get one or two, I believe. Keeps changing, so I don't know what the latest is. But in order to unlock all of these, you have to buy these packs, and I believe they're $14.99, something along those lines. So hopefully after this tutorial, you'll see if this is worth your while, and you can choose to go for it or not. And you see here, so here are all my different options for accompaniment, and so I can select that here. Medium up definitely works for Take the A Train, and this up here does not necessarily correspond with what's here. This up here is something you can edit, and this up here is something you can tell it to say, but it will not correspond with what's down here. So that's dialed separately. I want to show you the mixer, but before I do that, let me just hit play and show you what this program does. So I hit play now. I have a count off, and then it'll start playing. Now, I was practicing earlier, so I took out the bass, and I can bring the bass in with this one click. So you'll see this is a mixer, and I might might as well just show you that now. So you have volume controls, obviously, for how loud you want the treble instruments, which is typically piano or guitar, and it depends on which instrument options you get. I can tell it to have a Rhodes or a different vibraphone, whatever might fit, and you can choose. You can dial that in right here in the mixer, but you can also change, let's say I'm changing this to like a pop or like a rock, right? Then these will change to the instruments that are available in that particular styles pack. So that's pretty neat, because here obviously you'll have a bunch of different guitars which would fit that particular style. So now I'm going to go back to my medium upswing, and so then I'm a bass player, so I want to take out the bass. I'm the bass. I don't need the iRealPro to play the bass. But if you are a soloist, sax player, flute player, vibes, what have you, you might want to have the bass in, and then you can choose to have it in. So you can also, make the balances go right for the various drums. You can change the drums to a click or a click on 2 and 4, which for a tune like this one can be very beneficial. So that can be very helpful. I highly recommend that to my bass players. And even if you practice with the piano out and just the 2 and 4 click, you can check yourself. The count in, especially if you're going to use 2 and 4, click on 2 and 4, I recommend you set the count in as follows. First of all, put it on automatic. Some songs that are pretty fast, it will count off with 2 measures, which is what you want. Others that are slower, it'll count off with 1 measure. And it's pretty intelligent in how it chooses that. So I just set it on automatic and just trust it. And you see in the graph before it starts how many beats you're going to get. So it's pretty clear. And I love the automatic. No count in. That's a bit rough to use, so I would just put it on automatic, or if you absolutely want to always have 2 measures, then you can select that here. Then the volume of the count in, obvious, that's an obvious one. But here is the sound of the clicks, and I recommend to put that on click 1, put drumsticks, and click 2, put hi-hat. It's going to sound a little odd for your regular count off because the click 1 will be the downbeat, so that will be a drumstick. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 2, 3, 4 being the hi-hat, right? So it'll be 1, the downbeat, the click 1 will be the downbeat, so that will be the drumstick, and then click 2 will be the hi-hat, 2, 3, 4. This may or may not sound great for the immediate count in, but when you do click on 2 and 4, it actually really makes a lot of sense because then you have a hi-hat on 2 and 4. And so I have set it now on 2 and 4. I just want to show you that for a second. I'll give you a short sample of this just so that you see what that feels like. So this is no drums, just 2 and 4 and piano. This works great for practicing this sort of thing. And then of course you can fly in the entire drums, and that works great as well. So putting that back to drums for other things I want to show you. So that's the mixer. It'll play it 30 times. Here's my tempo. Changing the key. I can change the key with one click right here. Ever since iRealPro hit the scene, I'm sure transposition skills dropped massively. It is very tempting to just use this tool to, transpose away. If you work with singers a lot, you will be transposing quite a bit. And I will show you in a minute how you can actually practice your transposing skills because this program has something built in that will help you with that as well. So it's not just a bad clutch, it's a great practicing tool as well. I also want to mention you can set the global volume right here on the left side. So as it's playing, you can set the global volume here, so you don't have to go into the controls of your computer. Next, I want to show you the practice mode. This is very nifty. You can tell it to change the tempo every time you went around full circle. So by going on this icon here, you can tell it, well, once I'm through, up the tempo by 10 beats. And that what it'll do is as it comes to the end, it will jump back up and be 10 beats faster. Now you can not only do that with the tempo, you can also do that with your keys. So typically when you go there, it'll be on off, right? But you can also tell it to, every time you play through it, go up a half step. Or, as I would recommend you do it, you go through the cycle. That's a great way to do it. So you see on the left, you see the +5, +6, and so forth. Those are the half steps. And it doesn't keep going after 6, which is actually pretty smart because it doesn't want to just make it higher. It wants to then flips in the lower octave. The end effect is the same. So whether you are going, if you know theory, you know your inversions, whether you're going up a fourth or down a fifth, you'll end up at the same note, just in a different octave. So it does that automatically because it wants to keep it close in range and not just pull it into a vastly different range. All the accompanying piano and guitars, they would just struggle in certain keys if you go too far away. So let's say we're going, so you can see you can go down a fourth, which is the same effect as up a fifth, or you can go, if you go down a minor third, if you go down a major third, this is, major as the capital M. If you go down a major third, you will effectively go in up a minor 6. So you cover the entire octave, right? Down a half step means you're going up a major seventh. So if you started out in C and you go down a half step, you will end up in B. And so that's what that does. And what I recommend is you practice through the cycle, because if you practice through the cycle, you're going to hit every single key, and you can just leave this thing alone, let it run, and you practice through every single key. iRealPro does not give you the enharmonic keys. You could, instead of B, you could also have C flat. Instead of G flat, you could also have F sharp. And instead of D flat, there might be C sharp in use. So it's, in that sense, it doesn't give you those options. But if you absolutely would need to have them, you could edit it. But all these edits you would do would then carry over globally, and they would change whatever else you would transpose it to then. So I would probably just go with what's in here and be aware that there are 3 keys that have 2 ways of being spelled in terms of enharmonics. If that didn't make any sense to you, don't even worry about it. You can transpose here, and with the practice mode, you can switch to every single key in this cycle. And now I just want to show you what this looks like. You can, for example, so let's say I'm here at the end. If I click anywhere here, it'll start here. And this little orange bar shows you where you're at. And now watch, I got the practice session on, so now this is gonna switch to F. Now I'm up a fourth or down a fifth, and I'm going through the cycle. Now I'm practicing it in the new key. So hey, it's helping us practice transposing, because you don't need to look at this, you can just know it in your mind. So this is great practice. Takes you to every single key, and while you're playing through it, you're going to, what's the next key? What's the next key? How's it going to start? It's terrific. And I'm just going to set this back to 0 here, but that's the practice session. Now here is also a nifty tool. These will give you, should you need them, some tips for guitar chords. So as I'm going through this, it'll give you some options of guitar chords. Not sure how useful that actually is in the moment, because there's obviously a bunch of ways how you can finger these. But if you need one option, there it is. Same with piano chords. Piano chords right here. It tells you how to play some of these, and there are of course many versions and ways how to do that, but this is it's a nice practice tool for starting out. And here you have it for ukulele. And likely you can do a lot of editing in here, so I usually don't go into these parts of iRealPro, but I'm sure you can add your own and create a whole bunch of additional practice tools. But what is nice is this feature, the chord scales. And this is a nice feature, because it will tell you one option of chords that you can use with any given chord change. Like here you have Lydian dominant, which is a mode of melodic minor, and works terrifically well for this chord, dominant and sharp 11 Lydian. So this is a nice feature. Let's see what it gives you here. It gives you mixolydian, flat 9, flat 13. Some of these you could come up with your own versions, and you might, when I see a flat 9, I like to play altered over it, but there are many ways to do this, and this is a nice tool to not take as gospel, I would say, but as an option and as a starting point, so if you're not sure what some of these chords mean, it's a great tool to just affirm, well, C6, what does that mean about the 7? Is this a major 7 or is this a dominant 7? What is this? If you're still working out those kind of things, that's a great tool to tip you off what this is standing for. It gives you the chord in treble clef, and then it gives you the scale, one possible scale that goes with it. There's more than just that one option, but some people might like to play Lydian here, for example. But it's a great springboard, as long as you know it's not the only option. And likely this library bit here gives you the option to do way more with this. I would assume you can probably change things around, edit things, and cause all sorts of shenanigans. But as a general tool to just sort of figure out very quickly and look what this means, I think that's a good tool. So we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this. You can create your own playlists. Playlists are terrific. If you want to share what you're practicing with your teacher, or your teacher sends you things. I sent my students practicing tools all the time via iRealPro. You can create a playlist and put them all in here, and search. Put in here what you're using, and then to get a song into a playlist, you would just grab it and put it in here. So now there's something in here. So to rename it, I can just go in here and type the name of it, and boom, there I go. And let's say I have a gig with somebody and we're all selecting our tunes in the green room right before we're going on, and then we're pulling all these in here, and then you want to share them with everybody. You can do that too. And the way to share is this button. Here it says share playlist. So if you have a song here, you can share the playlist, or you can share the song. When you share, you can share it via email, via messages, AirDrop, notes, and you can even change it into music XML. If you use any software like Sibelius or Finale or MuseScore, then this option is for you. Oh, and then you can add it to the reading list. You can do all sorts of shenanigans here, where you're going to share it and where you're going to put it in Evernote. So you can experiment with that. So now I have a song selected, right? And what's important is if you share the chord chart, let's say I'm going to email somebody this chord chart, or an entire playlist for that matter, you can just hit share, and then here comes your here's where you put the email of the person, and then here comes take the A train. And this is an HTML file. So when the person receives this, I'm just going to send this to myself. So now I emailed this to myself, and here it came into my inbox, and I'm clicking on it. And then here it actually tells you what to do. Open the HTML attachment and click on the link to import the playlist or song. And wherever you have iRealPro installed, this will go straight into your iRealPro. So when you click on it, and here is tap or click the link at the top. Here you go. There it goes in. It sort of routes you back to the forum, gives you the link, and tells you to download it again. I believe that is what's happening with that way. But you can also share the audio if somebody does not have iRealPro installed, and you can just whatever settings you have here. So make sure the mixer is set to how you want it. But then you can just create an M4A file, and that creates an audio file, and then you can share that. You can also record yourself playing with it, and then whatever audio input you have selected, you can then record something to it and then email that to somebody. So you can experiment with that as well. One more thing I want to show you. This is this little pencil here. That is a way to edit chord changes. You may want to create a different chord change. You may want to create your own song. And you can either duplicate the song. That's what I typically do if I just want to change something. And then you can go into these places here. This, by the way, means repeat the prior bar. So if you wanted to make a change, you just click on the chord change, and then you want to go to, you can just change it. I just type the D, but I want to keep it where it was. The proper way to do it is to go in here. See this little window? And there you can then select the C. I'm typing C, and then select the chord. And this is important. It's important that this is correct, because all the packs, the style packs, take their information what to play from here. So you can't just make it up. You can't, let's say if you are used to naming something C minor 9, right? You want to name it C minus 9. You want to use, and there's a setting somewhere where you can tell it how to name them versus minus versus minor. But in any event, these have to be something that iRealPro recognizes. There are not. It's pretty good. You can get pretty much all you need. You have pretty specific chord changes. You can tell it to go altered or flat 9, flat 13. So all of these, I'm sure, correspond with that scale library that I showed you earlier. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty usable for a quick checkup. And so let's say you wanted to change a chord. That's where you would do it. If you want to create your own, and then here's the title. You can change the title of the song here. This would change it to, you can see how the words get added here. So that's where you change the title. And here is composer style. That's where you set the style that shows up here. So if you change something down here in the style, it does not correspond with what's up here. So this just tells you what it should say up here. And then the key signature. This is important when you create your own song. Make sure the key signature is set correctly, because if you ever transpose it, it'll be off. If it's in C, make sure to tell it it's in C. So you have that set correctly. And that's that. I want to show you one more thing in terms of editing. If you create, don't save. So if you want to make a change, it's a good idea to duplicate and then tinker with it. But you can also start with a blank. And when you start with a blank, the thing you need to get a hang of in the beginning a little bit is spacing and bar lines. Let's say I'm going to write out a little practice regimen of D minor 7. I want D minor 7, so I have to go and pull up my minor 7 here, like that. And I want to do 2 5 1s or something. And so I'm now hitting my arrow to the right. So 1 2 3, and then here I need a bar line, right? Now, if I put these here are the bar lines. You can put them at the beginning of the cursor or at the end. Now here I would need it at the end and get rid of this one, obviously. And then I go G7, and again to the right. I have to dial this in with the clicking. And then here I go again, and I want to make it here. Now that would be the wrong end. You can see it. It's the spacing is off. But these should be correct, because that's how iRealPro knows that there's a measure going on, right? And then I'm going to put my C major 7. Let's see, where's my major 7? C major 7, and then I want to repeat that. So you have to just get a little bit of hang of that visual. I remember in the beginning I was struggling with that a little bit. You want it to, it doesn't matter if you make it a shorter bar, it'll still note it's a 4/4, because by the way, we can dial in the time signature here. Right now I don't have a time signature, now I do. Oops, that was wrong, because I need it in the beginning. Command Z, whatever your computer has for undo, that's what it'll do. But I haven't set a time signature yet, and I need that, and I will do that here. So 4/4, and now it's set correctly for the entire piece. If you have a time changed, meter changed, then you can set that in, and wherever the cursor is, you just dial that in. You can add text anywhere you want, so. Saxophone, take the first melody or whatever. You can put that here. You can put your style, of course. And anyway, so I wanted to just show you this guy here too. And now I will repeat that measure. And there I am. And now I'm going to put a repeat sign right here. I'm going to change this guy to a repeat. So it's pretty intuitive. You can also copy and paste. Just like you would usually copy and paste text, just align the cursor, and there it is. And then, of course, you might not want this to show up again, so I'll get rid of it here. You can set markers. Where are my markers? Here are your markers. You can use those. You can use first ending, second ending, third ending. You can even use coda signs and dulceños. So this is all here. These are spacers, so you can create some more space in between things, to make it look visually a certain way. That's what that is. You can write ending. You can also, this means no chord, by the way. Also, you can choose alternate chords. This is a nice version, way if you, let's say I don't want a D minor 7, I want an F7 instead, then you can put an alternate chord up on top just by clicking alternate chord right here, and then it jumps back and forth. So if you want to create a chart with, let's say, the second time through, you want the alternate chords or something like that, or just want to have the option, then that's how you dial that in. Or maybe you find one of the charts that have a bunch of alternate chords and they really irritate you, or you want to make sure everybody's on the same page. This is how you can get rid of them. You just have to select alternate chord, then delete, and then it's gone. When you're done with it, you want to save it, boom, and it will show up in your library. And then let's say you want to find it, and then you would go into songs and just put the title. You can make your own playlist, drop it in your playlist, do that. If you can't find it, it's probably because you're in some playlist. If you put the title in and it doesn't come up, it's probably in some playlist. You want to go into songs and then type it, or you can see last edited. You can see, all sorts of different options here. Last viewed, it'll show up. So these are some options for editing. We've covered editing. We've covered some practice methods. We've covered the mixer and all the basics. If you are a transposing instrument, we transpose by the octave. So in that sense, we don't really count as a transposing instrument. But clarinets, trumpets, alto sax, tenor sax, you want to have it in your key. So here you can dial in your transposition. So if you're a trumpet player, go on B flat and all the keys will automatically be correct. This is great because then the default key in your playlist will match with your bandmate's default key and you don't have to reset everything. So everything will be in your key. Also, if you ever look at an iRealPro chart and it's not concert, doesn't seem to be the right key, don't transpose around. Look into the preferences and make sure that concert or C is selected as your key. Here you can select the symbol for the minor chords. You can either tell it to say minus or minor. Your player position indicator is either red or yellow or off or dark or light, so you can play with that. Text color, you can have dark background and this sort of thing. Background color, black on white, whatever is easiest on your eye. So you can set all these defaults. Also, if you're a bass player, this might be coming in handy. You can set the bass clef for your chord scales. So then you don't have to transpose from treble clef. And the guitar and the ukulele chords, you can even have them showing for left-handed and right-handed players. That's pretty nifty. And here you can set your audio output and reset all settings. All right, so that was an iRealPro quick tutorial with lots of tips and tricks that I like to use and recommend. So enjoy it, use it as a wonderful practice tool. Make sure to play with real people, however, as much as you can as well, because nothing in the world beats that. All right, have fun. You can find me and more about me at respaceblog.com. I'm the author of Music Theory for the Bass Player and several other upcoming publications on bass playing, improvising, music, practicing methods. Hope you come and check it out and drop an email and check out what I'm up to. All right, thanks so much for watching. I'm not an expert on iRealPro. If you have any iRealPro specific questions, please go to iRealPro customer support. But I do hope that this tutorial was helpful. Cheers.